Jubilee's inevitable split from Azimio coalition is looming. And it is looming fast. Okay? Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies and comrades, this is Kenya Revolutionary, aka Fabrizio Romano. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please go ahead and hit that not that Azimio button, but the subscribe button. Share, like, and comment. But today I want to make it very short, but I have a lot of stuff that I want to say, so I'll try to speak as quick as I can, and hopefully you understand what I have to say. But the title is Jubilee's inevitable split from the coalition of Azimio, okay? It is becoming apparent now, especially after Saitabao made his media rounds and have his book out there. In my view, it's not a coincidence that Saitabao came up with his book, Baba the Fifth. It is basically exposing, or it's a declaration of war from ODM side to the Jubilee, basically telling them, hey, we know you guys were part of sabotaging these elections to assist the Kenya Kwanza to win the elections. So what I'm trying to say is this. It is basically exposing, and its claim, you can see from Mr. Saitabao's interview, saying that the Jubilee side took over the command center of the Azimio election agency command center, that is, to deliberately cause a systemic breakdown in communication in such a way that the Azimio side could not deliver or monitor the process of elections to a point where, as Mr. Saitabaos claims, to a point where they could not detect any possible wrongdoing by the Kenya Kwanza side, which essentially delivered the presidency to Mr. Ruto. But that's not where I want to start. I want to start with the Babu Owino. Now, let me take you back a few months ago, when Babu Owino came out and said this, and said, why is Mr. Kenyatta not joining them in the Mandamano? Why is he not speaking out against the Ruto, Ruto's presidency? And also, he also mentioned and told the crowd, the public, that Uhuru Kenyatta was the first person who was employed by Ruto, the president, since the election was over. He was actually the first person in his cabinet because he appointed Uhuru Kenyatta as his emissary, basically the person who runs around East Africa talking about peace, trying to negotiate peace between the warring faction across Africa. As you saw, the warring faction in Congo. So Babu Owino made that point. If they are really beefing, why is Uhuru Kenyatta the first person to be appointed by this president? It is becoming apparent that the easy marriage between Azimio or ODM and Jubilee inside this Azimio tent has cracks on it. The marriage is on the rocks. Okay? Now, Martha Karua gave a speech this past weekend, and I thought it was a very interesting speech. Not because of what she was saying, but there was a part that was really interesting. And I want you guys to hear about this, okay? Because she mentioned something that I think went over most people's heads. Usually, when Martha Karua, especially Martha Karua, before she was blaming Ruto for not opening the servers. And in my channel I've been saying video after video, shouting from the rooftops, saying Ruto is not responsible for opening the server. the person responsible for opening the server, the responsibility falls squarely on the IEBC. And if there's a specific server, especially the one that's owned by Smartmatic, that's something that Smartmatic can only open that server. And in order to do so, first of all, the Azimio coalition have to put a petition in the courts to ask them to tell someone, subpoena Smartmatic to bring their server so they can open it and it can be forensically audited. But guess what? That's not going to happen because the issue had been adjudicated on. The issue went to Supreme Court when the petition was put forth. And as we saw, the Azimio people were told, hey, pick up any server you want. Tell us where you think there's any funny business. Tell us. And they did. And there was nothing found that was funny. And that's why the Supreme Court said, hey, this is hogwash. And the Azimio people know that if they go to court to ask the courts to tell Smartmatic to open the server, it will not happen. Because the issue had been resolved in the courts, especially in the highest court of the land, which is the Supreme Court. So that's an impossibility. It cannot happen again. The only thing they can do, they can go to IEBC and ask them for the original physical Forms 34A to verify the results if they want to verify the results. But like I said in my video before, the Azimio leaders are banking on their followers' ignorance. But take a listen to what Martha said. Because Martha said now, he's saying, rightfully, he's saying that the results, the IEBC have the records of the results of the election. She's no longer blaming Ruto. She is pointing her guns at the IEBC. Take a look at this video.
2022 in Kenya, the court failed to give justice. And the whistleblower let us know what was in the server. We are therefore saying, do not ask us whether the whistleblower is accurate. Do not ask us whether our information is accurate. The responsibility to keep records is not ours. It belongs to a body we pay called the IEBC. Open the servers and the truth will be known once and for all. If we do not open these servers, we shall be again sweeping the dirt under the carpet, and one day this nation will explode. We must have the servers opened this time, and that is period.
Another interesting development. Sabina Chege. Sabina Chege jumped ship, and now the Azimio folks want her out. I guess she was nominated MP or nominated senator, whatever the case is. But they want her out. Why? Because she jumped ship from Azimio to Kenya Kwanza. Sabina Chege is from Jubilee. What does that say? Here's the thing. I think what's happening right now is the ODM part of the Azimio are finally realizing that they had been played by the Jubilee party. Let me break it down. Kenyatta played Raila Odinga. Remember when I started by telling you that Miguna posed that question? What makes you think Uhuru Kenyatta will hand you power in 2022 if he did not let you have power in 2017? Remember that question? So it was a very clever plan by the Jubilee, starting from Mr. Kenyatta down to his minions. They carried out a perfect plan, made ODM and the Azimio part think that they will win the elections because now they have the what? Deep state. So I want to take you back inside Cyber Tower, Mr. Saita Bao. what he was saying, even though he doesn't understand the whole concept of deep state. There's nothing like deep state and shallow state. Deep state, for most Kenyans, and I'll help you with this very quick, deep state simply refers to the powers that control the real government. There's the government, okay, the government of the day, and there are the people who are more powerful, who have very much lots of influence, that influencing the decision making in the government of the day. That's the deep state. So there's nothing like a shallow state. But I get what Mr. Saitabao is saying, because in this interview, he was trying not to squarely blame Mr. Uhuru Kenyatta, but blame his minions who are working under the Azimio coalition to sabotage the whole electoral process, structure, command, to make sure that Raila Odinga doesn't become president.
Ultimately we're told, you guys, we have already set up everything for you. So don't worry.
You just work.
You just, okay, have your meetings, whatever, but we will take you to the place that is up and running. There are people who know about this thing, power, maneno ya power. I was even told, forget about ODM. Some of these people who are now pretending to be ODM guys, they were telling me some very unsavory things about our party, our beloved party ODM, and saying how ODM will not deliver a presidency or what. And ODM has, ODM has serious structures. If we had even left it to ODM, it would have delivered this thing by 10 a.m. But we went to Jubilee, which was a rotten, broken system. A rotten edifice.
So where was the command center?
The command center is I've described it in the book. Where Eric Soma Kitabu. But Soma Kitabu ndugu. Lakini, it just, the command center, I have called it the Tower of Babel. It delivered nothing. Absolutely nothing. A whole structure, like the whole.
Another interesting observation. The Kenya Kwanza side, they appointed Mr. Adan Kainan, or Kainan, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but Mr. Adan Kainan is from the Azimio coalition. I think he falls under the Jubilee side of the coalition, a known Jubilee guy who is supposed to be part of the Azimio. Now, if he's part of the Kenya Kwanza members of parliament who are going to sit down with the Azimio in the negotiations, what does that tell you? It basically tells you that Adan Kiman, a Jubilee guy, they are not speaking in one voice when it comes to this Azimio coalition. Or maybe in basic terms, it's basically saying, I'm not agreeing with what Azimio is going on. Yes, I'm part of the coalition, but we don't care about what Mr. Raila Odinga and his ODM faction is trying to tell us. We don't agree with the Mandamano, we don't agree with anything. Because if he's part of Azimio, Jubilee, which falls under the Azimio coalition, he should be on the other side of the negotiation table, not on the Kenya Kwanza side. So that's a huge sign that Jubilee doesn't even care what Azimio or the ODM side of the Azimio coalition side is all about. And last time I checked, Mr. Uhuru Kenyatta is still the chairman, the head of the Jubilee party. Why hasn't he said something about Mr. Adan Kainan being on the Kenya Kwanza side of the negotiating table? Isn't he supposed to admonish him and reprimand him for that? No? Because I thought, Kenyatta being Jubilee, head of Jubilee, is part of the Azimio since he was supporting Raila, right? What's going on? Something to think about. Lastly, Wajakoya the fifth. You saw when he was speaking yesterday in Kamkunji, and it was very interesting when he stood there and he was doing like a roll call. He was addressing the crowd, and he was basically shaming the people who were not with Raila Odinga from the get-go when the Mandamano started. Basically, he was shaming the Jubilee side of the Azimio coalition because most of the Jubilee people are not with Raila. They're going back to Kenya Kwanza because these guys came in pretended to be with the Azimio, pretended to support Raila Odinga, just to come and sabotage this election and take the power away from Raila. And once he lost the election and they know that Raila is not going to have any power, they jump ship back to Kenya Kwanza. But let's listen to Wajackoyah. Why do you think he was doing this? It's because they are finally realizing this. They got played. The Jubilee side of the coalition do not support Raila Odinga. There's no reason to. Okay? Take a look.
Nataka muwaulize hawa waheshimiwa ambao hawakukuwako wakati ile ya maandamano, waje hapa ambie mheshimiwa Raila walikuwa wapi? Niendelee nisiendelee? Niendelee nisiendelee? Niendelee? Na mimi ninataka niseme namna hii. Nikisema kitu nataka kwanza ngoja. Nataka nikisema kitu wenyewe mnaweka tick. Wenye tumekuwa nao Principal Nambwani, Raila Amolo Odinga, semeni tick. Martha Karua, Kalonzo Musyoka, Eugene Wamalwa, Oparanya, Baba Wino.
And lastly, Esther Passaris. Esther Passaris basically said, there'll be no mandamano in my constituency. What more can I say? See, Oburu Odinga, Raila Odinga, and the ODM people, they thought that if they came together with Uhuru Kenyatta, who had the deep state, don't get it fooled, Uhuru had the power. They thought that if they have Uhuru Kenyatta come together, have a handshake, they will be handed power by him. Like he said, like Oburu said before. But that's clearly not the case. Unfortunately, Raila blindly trusted Uhuru Kenyatta. Like I said before, using Miguna's quote, if Uhuru Kenyatta did not allow you to have power in 2017 when you won square and fair, what makes you think that he would hand you power in 2022? Raila is running out of options. And that explains why he wants to go back to Mandamano, because they, ODM and Azimio coalition, have finally realized that they cannot trust Jubilee and they've been duped. And everything they've tried is not working. These talks will fail. I'll be the first one to prophesize that. That's number one. Two, the boycott that they were trying will not work because the people are not with them. If the people are not with you, then you can boycott all you want, but the people are not going to listen to you, except the ODM strong supporters, who they're not many, by the way. They don't make up much. Everything has failed. So the only thing Raila can bank on is go back to the streets, and that explains why they send that letter to ICC, because they know they want to go back to the streets, and they know if they go back to the streets, we shall have tear gas, we shall have chaos, we shall have anarchy, and then he will hope that the clergymen and the Herman Manyoras will start saying, hey, let's call the international community, let's sit down, let's talk, and they will have that Kofi Annan type of talks. For the sake of peace, let's not let this country burn. Oh my goodness, people are dying on the streets. There's tear gas, police and brutality, whatever. That's what they're banking on. Chaos. So out of chaos, they can have order. They can have Nusum Mkate. That's their only hope in this. But tell me what you think. Don't you think Jubilee played the Azimio coalition? Yes or no? Tell me what you think. Comment, like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. Tell me what you think. Am I wrong? Subscribe. Okay? This is Fabrizio Bermano, Kenya Revolutionary. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace and blessings. Bye.